Marissa here. The golf swing happens in 3 planes of motion. The 3 planes of motion are sagittal, which is flexion and extension, frontal, which is lateral bending, lateral side bending, and transverse, which is rotational. So quick examples, our at address, our hips are in flexion, which would be that sagittal plane. As I swing down, that lateral side bending, my oblique muscle, my oblique abdominals here, that is moving in the frontal plane. Rotating my shoulders, my thoracic spine through impact, that is working in the transverse plane, rotation. So for example, my hips, again, at address, they are in flexion. As I swing back, I am internally rotating into my right hip. As I swing through, I am externally rotating into my lead hip. And when I finish, I complete my swing, my hips are in extension. Now, if I'm unable to rotate if my hip flexors tend to be tight, a few things can happen. A few swing flaws can result from that. So if I cannot rotate, internally, externally rotate with my hips, I may tend to sway in the golf swing. Also, what could happen is if I can't shift correctly into this right hip, I may have a reverse pivot, which means I'm not shifting my weight correctly. Lastly, if this is weak, if both my hips are weak, I'm unable to shift my weight correctly, which will result with an over-the-top swing. So my upper body takes over. The lower body initiates the downswing, so we need those hip flexors mobile. Another example, ankles. So at address, my ankles are in dorsiflexion. Dorsiflexion means bringing my toes towards my shins. Plantar flexion is moving my toes or pointing my toes, basically planting my foot down, pointing my toes. So at address, my ankles are in dorsiflexion. As when I come to my finish, my back ankle is in extension. Also, being able to move my ankles inward and outward. So inward would be eversion, outward would be inversion. So inversion, eversion. If I'm unable to do that, I can't shift my weight, and I can't keep my weight on the inside of my ankle here. What will happen is I end up swaying again. And being able to hold your finish. So if my ankles are weak, I don't have a stable base or a solid foundation. So it's really important to identify any physical limitations that you may have, so then you can, like I said before, build a specific golf program targeting these areas to strengthen them. Again, the 3 planes is sagittal, forward bending, backward bending, frontal, lateral side bending, and transverse, which is rotational.